Hello and welcome back to the Schooner Pod. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, we've got Jameson Maxwell. And Jameson, we have reached something that some folks out there are calling Red November. In my opinion, maybe a little bit premature. You got the first part of Red November right with Tennessee, but Alabama looms, and we're here to preview that game. How are we feeling as we reach this final stretch of the OU season?
I am happy that we're in a situation where we can talk about this and, look forward to a possible win versus Alabama, although being a touchdown underdog, but that's where you want to be. In the SEC right now, are there any teams out there that feel good? I mean, Ole Miss would feel good for the rest of their season, but the majority of teams and their fans are probably still a little bit nervous, some less nervous than Oklahoma, but that's just the way whenever you play high end football in the SEC. It is going to be a dicey ending to the season. You have to finish strong.
Yeah, without a doubt. And the schedule, while it isn't as tough as I think some of us thought it would be at the start of the year, it's still an SEC schedule. And the way college football is these days, where you have bigger conferences and more teams playing each other, and it's a bit more of a dogfight. And the least you can ask for, really, at some point, is to be in the conversation in November, to be relevant in November, where you're still in the hunt for the playoff. It's what you play the sport. It's what you root for the sport for. It's why you root for your team. This is something that you should be really excited about. So, I for one am pretty pumped that OU has gotten to this point. I don't think either of us. I mean, maybe the more optimistic versions of us probably would hope that OU would get to this point.
Let's just say it, Bobby. Early in the preseason, you felt like we could do this. You're pretty optimistic.
I thought 9-3 would be the high side. The fact that I'm even thinking about a 10-2 is kind of crazy.
It does feel weird. And I mean, here's the thing, in actuality, getting the chance to talk about that is is a huge blessing, but it's very daunting, and I'm really nervous that we're even having this conversation.
I know. And I think there are two things that's crazy to me. One, what we've done to get to this point. Like what OU has done. We haven't done anything. We've just sat here and yap on the internet. But what
that's what podcasters do, Bobby. We're yappers, okay?
Right. Yeah. I think there's literally only one OU football podcast that might actually help the team out, and it is not the Schooner Pod. That's for sure. No, I think the fact that OU has set themselves up well for this run is crazy. But the way we're entering a game at Bryant-Denny Stadium, which we've said for the entire season, is that's an auto loss. Chalk it up as an L. And I wouldn't say I'm optimistic about the game, but the fact that I'm not, we're not walking into this thinking it's going to be a funeral, I think says something about how this team has set itself up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whenever you have a really good defense, really anything's possible. And versus Tennessee, we look at that game now in retrospect a week and a half later, and we're like, okay, there were still some things that were a little bit scary, but our defense showed up in big moments, made a quarterback and Joey Aguilar very uncomfortable and forced them into mistakes. And I guarantee you that was a Brent Venables scheme thing. That was a defensive scheme thing. And we won the game because of big plays. You can snap your fingers and say we can have big plays versus I've been removed from the screen. Hello, I'm back. But we can make big plays in this Alabama game, and things can get really dicey really quick for Alabama, despite them looking like one of the better teams in college football since their loss to Florida State. So it's not like it's all lost. I would say there's some teams that you might say oh, they're a 7-point dog to Alabama, but I don't think it's going to even be close in this game. With the talent that we have, I still think that we're not closing the door.
Yeah, no. And I mean, to some degree, you look at what OU was able to have last year, probably to a tiny amount, just given the fact that a lot of that was due to a bit of a element of surprise. Alabama might have been overlooking the Sooners, that sort of stuff. But this is a team that had success against the Crimson Tide last year, a different Crimson Tide. But, one that I feel like if you can go on the road in Neyland, which is as tough as tough of an environment as it gets in college football, on the road at night, you have to think that at least the environment, the crowd noise, all of that is something that shouldn't affect them to the same degree. Um, in Tuscaloosa, just given a little maybe apples and oranges, but it feels to me like this is a team that can show up and have a puncher's chance at winning this game.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think what we've seen from the offensive side of the ball, it's continued to get better and better and better since the John Mateer injury. And, we're not going to be a team that's going to be going punch for punch with Alabama's offense if they decide to go off. If Alabama's offense is humming, we're going to lose the game. But if we can get them into some tough situations and make Ty Simpson turn the ball over, honestly, which has been pretty rare this season, I think that we could do it. Absolutely. And I mean, looking at it too, is like this Alabama offense, they started to be kind of not as like versus LSU. I was kind of disappointed in like how they were playing the game. Like they were pretty one-dimensional. That run game was just not there. And I get LSU has a pretty good defense, but whenever you have a one-dimensional team coming into this game where you're not seeing as good of a performance from Jam Miller that you've seen in the past, and you're really hoping for a lot from Daniel Hill, like that shows some concerns that, hey, a defensive mind like Brent Venables can say, oh, you're not going to be running the ball well. We're a really damn good run defense. Let's show you some looks and really put you in some bad positions in the secondary with hopefully Gentry Williams coming back. That could really help us a lot into getting some, 3 and outs, getting some quick stops and having a successful beginning of the game.
Yeah. And that running aspect of it, when we talked about OU success, newfound success in the running game, one of the things you pointed out was, oh yeah, they've done it against bad, rushing defenses. Alabama hasn't exactly been killing it, at stopping the run. And that feels like something that OU can kind of, take a little bit of advantage of. Xavier Robinson's, coming out party last year was against Alabama. Obviously different circumstances, of course, but in terms of OU's ability to run the ball, that's impressive. But Alabama, talking about stopping them on offense more than anything, I caught out a little bit, so I gotta go.
Yeah, I'm talking so the other side of it, Bobby.
Yeah.
It's like their run game, Bobby, is just it's been less than stellar. Like we felt really good about Jam Miller whenever he comes back from injury in the middle of the season. And then like last week versus LSU, you look at Alabama running the ball, 8 carries for 13 yards for Jam Miller, 7 carries for 21 for Daniel Hill. They go the week before that with South Carolina. That's a team where it's like, okay, they can kind of work it. Like Oklahoma really reestablished their run game beginning in that game. Jam Miller, 10 carries for 26 yards. I'm like, what's happening here? Is this just a big old fluke? Like, is this legitimate? And then I'm like, okay, Tennessee's run defense, they weren't that good, right? We just watched that happen again. Our run game looked great versus South Carolina. It looked great versus Tennessee. Let's see what they did against them too. Oh, Jam Miller went 12 for 15. Daniel Hill went 7 for 34. Is this Alabama run game like really showing some weaknesses, and like a defensive mastermind and Brent Venables could really scheme this out and put them in some uncomfortable situations? You never want to be, no matter how potent of an offense you are, you can't be one-dimensional. And it really looks like this run game's struggling.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's if you had to point out a weakness or an Achilles heel of this Alabama team, it's that running game, and it's something that OU completely shut down against the Volunteers. That was one of the things that made them really good, really balanced, and forcing Simpson to, beat you with, some throws deep is absolutely the number one key on defense. You look at that LSU game last week, he wasn't missing his guys bad, but he was like, he could have lit up LSU for quite a bit more. And he just missed a lot of kind of open guys. So if you have a bit of a dodgy, performance from Simpson, accuracy wise, again, that could be really fascinating. But ultimately, OU is going to have to get home on Ty Simpson, make him feel pressure, because I doubt he's going to miss as many guys as he did last week against LSU.
Yeah, and shout out Laura King Big Nuts in the chat. We love you. He says he doubted him against UT. I won't do it against Bama. It looks like we got a believer that Oklahoma could pull an upset here. We need all the positive vibes that we can get, and we're going to continue to try to paint this picture as best as we can of like what does a win look like in our eyes? Like how can we get there? And really, what it comes down to, Bobby, is like the same thing. Like I believe in our run defense. I believe that this trend that we've seen from Alabama will continue. Now, our pass defense, I do get concerned. Like, I really do, because I think that Cortland Guillory has shown some great moments. And if you look at the advanced statistics for him as a true freshman, it's been really damn good, but he's still a freshman. And Eli Bowen is doing decent. But whenever you look at this defense, you can see that we can get carved up whenever you see versus Ole Miss and versus Tennessee. They can kind of get to us and really make some problems if you give them just a couple of extra seconds to get our secondary in some uncomfortable situation. But that's putting a lot on one player. So you're saying right now, if we don't believe in the run game to Alabama to establish something, you're just saying it's going to be put on all of Ty Simpson's shoulders. All it takes is for one guy to have a bad game. He hasn't really had too much of a bad game the whole year, but why not now? The law of averages, right?
Right. Surely something bad at one point has to happen to this guy, outside of the Florida State game at the start. But, since then they've been on a roll. They've looked as good as anybody has in the country for the most part. And, you talk about that pass defense. That's the thing that, if you want to look at it, something that makes OU's defense is good. They're aggressive. When they're getting to the quarterback, they're excellent. But, if you let a quarterback sit back there and have some time, they will dice you up and they will kill you over the middle. That's something we saw Aguilar have a lot of success with at times. We've seen it from obviously Trinidad Chambliss, Arch Manning at times had some success as well. And it's very much a bend don't break defense at times. Either you're going just balls to the wall, all out on them, and trying to get sacks, turn things over, or you're just trying to, just not give up explosives. And to me, I feel like this is a defense that, if given time, it can get carved up a bit. So it's going to be imperative for OU's defensive line, linebackers, etc., to get to Ty Simpson and make him have a really, really tough day at home.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard. Like, do you know, I don't know if you've looked at this beforehand, but do you know how many interceptions Ty Simpson has thrown this year? Oh, it's one. He had one, but close. You said
Was it
zero.
LSU? It was LSU, wasn't it?
It was Vanderbilt.
Oh,
It was Vanderbilt. This guy, like, he's playing really damn smart football, and it's going to take a lot to rattle a guy at home, So we're just going to have to hope for the best with this, honestly, because he's been really impressive. And you look at Alabama's passing game, like they've got some dudes at wide receiver and it's deep. So yeah, we might say like, oh, we've gone against like better top end wide receiver room. Say what you will about Auburn's wide receiver room. They didn't have a quarterback to throw it to him, but like say what you say about, Tennessee's wide receiver room that we just played against. Like I really believe a lot in Chris Brazel and Braylon Staley, obviously is a guy that just repeatedly just made us look silly in that game. But if you look at like top four at Alabama, I'd say, Ryan Williams hasn't had the most explosive year as we thought he could be, but he's still really damn good. Jeremy Barnard is a hell of a wide receiver. Isaiah Horton's a really damn good wide receiver. Let's Brooks has been really, really good too. Like I could just keep going. That's like four guys right there. And like Josh Cuevas had a good game too. Like they've got plenty of guys who can go out there and just give us some problems. And that's going to really put a lot of stress, at our multiple levels of our defense, not from just the guys on the outside and top two, whether it be Gentry getting the start or Eli or Cortland. It's going to really rely on how are the safeties going to play too. I think Peyton Bones been taking a good step near in the middle of the season and starting to finish off plays, but it's every single part of this secondary is going to have to be strong. There cannot be a single weak link, or else I think that's going to be another game where you're going to see Ty Simpson throw for 250 plus and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, one of the funnier quotes from after the Tennessee game was Peyton Bowen saying RIP to PBU. So, pass breakup university, which is hilarious, given the fact that OU, has failed to convert on so many of these turnovers and finally got a little bit of that against Tennessee. And OU is going to need some of that. They're going to need big plays to switch momentum in this game. From what I understand about Tuscaloosa, it's, you know, it's a tradition rich environment. It's a environment where they love their Tide, obviously care about it, but it's not exactly raucous. It's not one of those snake pits that you see throughout college football. Um, like they'll get up for the big games, they'll get loud at times, but you can take them out of a game easy. They're very much like OU. They're like Texas, where it's a bit more privileged. They don't go as crazy as some of these other spots like Tennessee.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think Alabama's going to view this as a big game, or like they could be once part of them that say like, hey, we lost to them last year, we need to punch them in the face again this year, or are they going to overlook us again? I mean, what are they going to overlook us for? Their opponent, Eastern Illinois, the following week, but like still, like I don't know.
well,
Because I
because
mean, there's
they
still a lack of respect for Oklahoma across the SEC, I'm sure, across many programs.
right, and there is a matter of do they need this? Like I guess if you're trying to make an SEC championship, but do championship games really matter as much? This is an Alabama team that if you
They
lose
lose
to
to
Oklahoma,
Auburn. They lose to Auburn if they lost to us and just plummet their season,
oh
Bobby.
god,
That's an
but
at Auburn game.
are they really going to lose to Auburn though? That's the thing is like if you drop the OU game, you can still make the playoff. Like
Yeah.
everything's still ahead of you. Like you still probably find a way to, host a first round game, whatever. But it's not like a do or die situation like it is for Oklahoma. So I don't think they'll overlook OU. They play better at home than they do on the road. If this was in Norman, you'd obviously be thinking of it differently. But DeBoer, usually has his guys ready in Tuscaloosa. Um, because even though the environment's not crazy, Alabama takes care of its home field without a doubt.
Yeah, I expect them to be really good and not just like, oh, snooze fest versus Oklahoma. I think that's just another thing, a cope in my head. And I was like, maybe they might underestimate us. Everyone loves to be the underdog. I think at this point, I think there's enough respect and there's enough of a mantra of saying like, hey, we lost to them last year. I think that we're going to get their A game. And I still think that they're beatable with their A game, but they're going to be one of the best teams in the country with it.
Yeah, I mean they make the playoff last year if they beat OU. Like
Mhm.
OU prevented them from making the college football playoff because of that loss in Norman. So I think I do agree with you. I think we are going to get Alabama's best punch here, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think a lot of it really is going to come down to of one, how will our team respond if our Mason Thomas isn't ready to go? I think that we look decent without him in that second half, but we can rely on Taylor Wine, but big players make big plays in big games. And I think that we need a guy like our Mason Thomas more than anything in this game. And hamstring, you can return back from those in a couple weeks, but obviously we don't know the grade. We don't know like the point where he is within his rehab. That is, if this is a scenario where the team sees like, hey, he's not ready to come back, he just immediately repull it if you get him on the field. You just got to believe in guys like getting Wine out there and more run for Danny Okoye. But if I see that he's not starting, I'm gonna get really nervous because we need our leaders out there and really like giving us a game plan to beat them. And I think another thing with that too is Kobe McKenzie as a leader on this defense too, who's going to be questionable for this game.
Yeah, yeah. McKenzie, you obviously really, really want to have him back as well.
Mhm.
I feel like the thing that's really good about this defense is the depth. Like you feel good about Heineke in that spot. I think you feel good about Wine, getting a lot of burn as well. But I mean, you want to be full strength against Alabama. It's Ala
Mhm.
freaking Bama. You
Yeah.
don't want any stones left unturned there in terms of guys being ready.
Yeah, I think most people expect Kobe McKenzie to play because he was approaching getting pretty close last week, but was held out. And I mean, you need everything that you can get here, really. I think that our defense should have some good plays. There are going to be some frustrating plays. But they're going to have to make some big time game changers, whether that be a turnover, some really big stops to allow us to win this football game. I think that there's like almost a ceiling kind of flipping over to the offense, Bobby, in terms of what we're going to get from them. I think every little game has been a little bit better, but I don't think there's any scenario in my mind, and you can disagree with me here, that we sit here at the end of the day on Saturday and we say the offense won us the football game.
Right. No, I mean that just would be really unusual. you know what this offense is at this point, and at their very, very best, they take care of the football, they do what they need to do, and they can move the ball down the field like moderately. But they're not going to go out there and light it up for 500 yards, and that's just not that type of that OU offense this year, without a doubt. Um, but I think they can be, and we've seen recently they can be balanced. They can run the ball a little bit. They can they're not as turnover prone as they were at points during the season earlier on. And I think to me that is kind of the recipe for a road game win, is just being balanced. You don't have to do too much. This is a defense that's good enough where you don't have to do too much. I think it has to be, you have to limit 3 and outs, obviously limit turnovers, but there is a path here to win, and it's steady. It's pounding the ball, just the air out of the stadium, and I think the offense is capable of winning this football game. Not in the sense that it is the thing that wins you the game, but they can do the things that are needed for you to win.
Yeah, if they go out there and perform really well, we'll still need a really good defensive performance.
Right.
I think when it comes down to it, I think you're right. It really all relies on this run game. I think if we can have these chip away 5 to 6 yard runs that we continue to get with Xavier Robinson, that's the recipe right there. Because I don't think we're a 30, 40 yard chunk team anymore. I think you can just throw that out. I mean, I'm sure Mateer's strength in his thumb is getting better and better, but whenever you see the video of the fan yanking on his thumb and he's still having some pain with it, that tells me that he's not completely 100% there. And I think we've been saying that for so long on this podcast. We've been saying it for so long on this podcast. Everyone's like, he's already on the field. Don't use the thumb as an excuse. Come on. You just don't understand the medicine of it. Like, this dude's grip strength is going to be impacted for at least 2 months post-op, and this guy returned quickly, so it might even be impacted even longer. Like, this guy isn't quite there to the point where he's going to go making crazy deep balls and big plays, and do we even have the wide receivers to go open and get open for those plays? We don't know. So we need to hit them on little 5, 6 yard, little out routes and digs and runs up the middle to get them down the field with 14 play drives. And that's how we're going to win it.
Right. It's smart playing within yourself, playing within the offense. And I think that's something he really improved upon from the Ole Miss game to Tennessee, is he wasn't trying to make these hero passes. He wasn't trying to make these hero ball like decisions. And I think that's what that offense and what he's going to have to do is, just focus on moving the sticks, not getting, and the defense can help him out by making sure this team doesn't get behind where he feels like he has to do that. It has to be like a steady offense. Because I agree with you, James. And the deep ball wasn't even really very much there at the start of the season, but it certainly isn't there now.
Yeah, I think that people have a little bit of unrealistic expectations within this offense. They think, oh, we're not doing it. We need to see it more. I think you just need to lean into your strengths. Like, you've seen an offense the past couple games that looks competent, so let's just lean in. Let's try not to get too fancy. Like, we found a recipe that works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Xavier Robinson, like he did last season, is he came on late and then he just beats up teams. He's starting to see the offense a lot better. And this is a guy with a body type that more and more people are going to get worn down in November than they were in September. And I guarantee you, when you see Xavier Robinson coming down the middle, I'm not nearly as excited to see him as I was 2 months ago.
Right. I mean, he's gotten stronger as the season's progressed, for sure, just with his health, from what we understand.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's an offense that chips away at you. And, that's just staying within that strength, staying within that understanding that what's not quite working early might work later. I think that matters, and being patient and sticking with Xavier Robinson, and having that diet of run versus pass, stay pretty run focused, even though it might not be working early. That's the move. You got to trust him late. That's one of the things that bet him against Ole Miss is not running Robinson late. And I hope that's something they've learned from. It looked like that's something they really improved on in that Tennessee game. Granted, we would have liked to see it a little bit more. The RPO was a bit rough, but overall, yeah, more Robinson, the better.
Yeah, I think, just don't even call it an RPO, just call it run. I don't
Right.
care what Mateer's decision was. Is that a batter decision or not? It's
That's
just
what
looking at that
Arbuckle said the
opportunity at
same
all.
thing in the presser
I know.
today. He was
I
like,
know.
yeah.
And I think, honestly, I don't believe anyone's like Arbuckle's or Mateer's opinion on it. It's all it is like politics at this point of making someone look better. I will never truly know of who's taking the blame and who deserves the blame at this point. But yeah, I saw that too, Bobby. But it's a game like honestly, how like these kind of games, we've been conditioned as fans where it's like you can kind of feel the gravity going into the week. I don't know what I feel about this right now. Sitting on a Monday night as we're recording, usually like it's Alabama, it's like a must-win game for Oklahoma. I don't have those butterflies on my chest yet. I don't know if that's weird.
Well, and I think partially some of it is we might be calloused a little bit because this season has been one must-win game after another to
That's
some
definitely
degree.
it.
We've had so many big games that at some point it's like, all right, just another another game, I suppose, and I, that's just life in the Southeastern Conference for one, and you know, just you know, frankly, I mean, you and I are both Thunder fans. Partially, some of it's like we just watched the NBA Finals a couple months ago, and we've been dealing with high stakes, high jeopardy, massive, intense games, pretty much the entirety of 2025. So maybe to some degree, there's a little bit of that, but we've just seen a lot of gotta have it games
Mhm.
as fans of the Oklahoma Sooners, and to some degree, I don't want to say it wears on you, but it, after a road game in Neyland, a road game in Alabama, it doesn't feel you're really not scaling up much. It just feels
Mhm.
like it's just the same note of intensity, which is
Yeah,
like at like a 10.
and I knew deep down with Tennessee, there was a chance we could win, but I didn't really think that. I wasn't setting myself up for failure, being like, "Oh, we're gonna win this game, then we're gonna have a big Alabama game for a chance to, go into 2 home games that are very winnable to get into the playoffs." Like, I don't think I've like set my brain up to think like that right now, and it might be a good thing, right? I think that there is one side of this thought process where it's like I want to be an optimistic fan. I want to look towards the future and the best case scenario. But in actuality is like you don't want to postulate too much on this, you know, because if you have high expectations for something, that's the easiest way to get disappointed. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be like going into this Alabama game like lackadaisical and nonchalant about it, but it's like as Oklahoma fans, we get way too ahead of ourselves way too quickly. And now that we're in the SEC, it's like you said, it's going to be a big game every single weekend. It's Alabama, cool. Whenever it's hit Saturday, I'm going to get ready. I'm going to get loud. I'm going to have like a really good time watching that game. And I'm going to be really, really nervous, but I'm not going to hype it up and think about all of the downstream repercussions right now. Cause it's just, there's too much that can go wrong in between now and then.
I mean, Jameson, you kind of have to have a 0-0 mentality about it, I
Here
suppose,
we
right?
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stacked days. But no, it is one of those things that, it's hard to not get the cart ahead of the horse after a win like Tennessee. And I think one of the reasons why that Ole Miss game was as brutal as it was to lose that game, uh, and I mean, Texas always is. Anytime you lose your first game, that sucks. But especially Ole Miss, a home game, had a chance to win it at the end, was knowing that you're going into the back-to-back of Alabama and Tennessee, and the prospect of all you have to do is steal one and everything's still online. You're still online for a 10-2 season. Like that feels way more reasonable than you have to go into two of the toughest environments in college football and get a win back to back week. Well, not back to back weeks, but two straight games in a row. It feels daunting. And getting one done is pretty great, but you're only halfway up the mountain. So you
Mhm.
got to get the other one. Um, and I'm with you that it's neither of us were optimistic. I think at that point it felt like the team was on the verge of spiraling out of control, potentially with a bad loss to Tennessee. I don't know if that's the case with if they lose to Alabama, because I think Alabama's a way better team than the Vols. But I mean, the opportunity is absolutely there. If you beat Alabama, as I said, I can't remember when I said it. It might have been the Sunday show right after, right, or no, it was the Monday show right after Tennessee. I said, if you can beat Alabama on the road, you're capable of doing anything in college football. And I still believe that if OU wins this game, they're capable of doing anything.
Yeah, yeah. If we talk about momentum, if we beat Alabama on the road, like, yeah, that is whenever we can start to look ahead. But I would hate to, because obviously you never know with Missouri and LSU. But at the same time, that's time right now. But you're right, it is 0-0,
Right.
and I think all schools of thought is okay. Honestly, I'm not going to damn anybody. But if you see me on the post-game show of Oklahoma, Alabama, and we lose, I'm not going to be dooming, and I'm not going to be spiraling. There's going to be some OU fans out there that will spiral, because that's just in your blood. You lose, we spiral. It's a damn good football team we're about to go against. It's a really, really damn good football team that we're going against, and losing is going to happen every once in a while. So you're not going to see me spiral yet if we lose.
Jamison, do you know how many times Alabama has lost at home since 2008? Take a guess.
Twice.
6, but still.
I thought it was going to be like some like crazy thing. 6. Yeah, that's probably more realistic since 2008. I realize it's 2025.
they're like 118-6, like since 2008.
Do you have the 6 losses in front of you?
I do not.
Okay, let's look at them. Home losses, Alabama since 2008. Okay, let's
Okay. Here, let's play a game, because let's see how many of them I can guess.
I thought of one off the top of my head.
Okay, was the one you had off the top of your Johnny Football?
Right? I thought of the Auburn game in 2010 first.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the take the money and run Cam Newton game. So, yeah, so you have Cam in 2010. You have,
and then I guess then you have the Johnny Manziel game. So that's 2012.
You have Manziel in 12. You have the Chad Kelly game with Ole Miss.
Yeah, I would have forgotten about that one.
I think LSU beat them in 11. I think that 9-6 game.
That was that dirty overtime game.
Yeah, that just gross 9-6 game. So where are we at there on our count? That's what?
That's 4.
4.
And that was just been since 2015. Yeah. So what about after that? Honestly, what about after 2015? Because that was like, we're talking
Texas.
Yeah.
Texas with Ewers is so that's 5.
Did they lose to another LSU team in between them? Where was the Jaden Daniels LSU game?
Oh, was it Burrow?
Or is it Burrow? Probably. But I feel like they've lost to LSU.
Daniels beat him in Tiger Stadium. Because that was Brian Kelly's like first year, beat him in Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, so Tuscaloosa, Alabama has won the past 2 years. Yeah, 2019 they lost to LSU. Yeah,
there you go. So those are the 6. That's actually kind of impressive. We were able to come up with that.
I mean, it's just like sickos is what it is. It just takes us thinking. But I said 2 off the top of my head, so it doesn't mean anything, because I'm like, I don't know. This is a trick question.
But no, I mean, that's the thing, Jameson. I think that what the whole point of that, if you're sitting here like, why are these idiots just sitting around naming games? The whole point of that exercise is to highlight how tough it is to win at Bryant-Denny Stadium, how hard it is to win in Tuscaloosa. And if you do win in Tuscaloosa, it's so memorable that people who are not following Alabama football can remember them relatively off the top of their head.
Yeah, the LSU Jaden Daniels one was at home. So yeah, yeah, you're right. It is kind of wild. And it makes you think. You look at that list and you're just like, each one of those games had this kind of lasting like memory, whether it be of a big time player or, someone going out there making a big time play. So who's it going to be?
Yeah. I mean,
You're gonna say that was the Xavier Robinson game.
it
I
would be
don't
the
think people
second
are gonna
Xavier
say that.
Robinson game. It would be the second Xavier Robinson game against Alabama, which would be
Yeah.
something. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be the, Isaiah Satania game. Like,
the
I don't
Centennial game. Uh,
I don't
I,
know.
hey,
It
I'm fine with
that
that.
honestly, that conversation, Bobby, does not make me that makes me significantly less optimistic about this game
No,
because I don't see
no,
I always say this all the time on the pod. It's like I close my eyes and I'm like, can I see a scenario or like, can I see a scenario or a world that this has happened? An alternative universe where Oklahoma wins and then everyone knows this game to be is like the something game. I can't see it. I don't know. I'm struggling, Bobby.
because I mean, Mateer, I think he's a solid player, but he's not a guy who's like not right now. I don't think he's a guy who you're like
Yeah.
that's the Mateer game, like
If he wouldn't have gotten hurt and he continued what he was doing at the beginning of the season, hell yeah, it would be that
for
kind
sure.
of conversation.
Exactly, that's what I mean by not right now. Um, yeah, I mean, it would have it probably would be a defensive player making something crazy, you know. I don't know if we would call the Tennessee game the R. Mason Thomas game, but we're going to remember that play as the play, you know, where he
Mhm.
kind of Greg Jennings it. But the team was back though. But I don't know. It's going to take a team effort to overcome that. It's going to be a crazy game, and you know I'm with you. I think OU fans, if you lose this one, I don't think you get mad at the Sooners for that performance. I think it just makes the Ole Miss and Texas performances just a little bit worse because you had to have one of those to be able to, you know, kind of absorb this loss.
Yeah, I think in retrospect, though, looking at the season in bird's eye, it's like losses to Texas, Alabama, and Ole Miss are really damn good losses. Quality loss alert right now. But
Right.
like I honestly, I still know we have 2 games to play that we should be favorites in, but it's refreshing as an Oklahoma team right now that we've gotten to this point, and I think that every single game that we should have won, no doubt in my mind, we've gone out there and won. You know, like I get Ole Miss like we're a favorite in. I get that, but like that's still a toss up. What was the spread on that? Like 3.5 or something like that.
It was like 4.5, I think, at one point.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's
But
like that's so close.
it's functionally a neutral field toss up.
Mhm. Yeah, and so it's like I'd say you put Michigan in the conversation of like that is like a you cannot lose game, you should not lose game, and when we handled them, like that feels good. South Carolina, I don't want to have that conversation. We didn't have to have that conversation.
Yeah. Auburn
Auburn, same thing.
yeah, winning a tough game at Neyland. They're this is a team to feel positive about. And I'm
Mhm.
not trying to get into the look how far our standards have fallen. You know, we're settling for 9-3 and settling for losses. I get it. Like we don't want this to be OU football forever and ever and ever. Like this shouldn't be the standard forever. But the team was 6-7 last year and lost to Navy. And we have to have some sort of nuance that this team improved against one of the toughest SEC schedules we've seen in a long time. And frankly, the toughest schedule that Oklahoma has ever faced ever. So to have that improvement is impressive. And the losses that they've had so far, you know, I mean, they sting, they suck, but they're not embarrassing. I mean, Texas, you could argue it sucked not getting in the end zone and all of that, but you know that game was a little bit was closer than the final score indicated. Ole Miss, he had a shot at the end and lost to a team that could win a national title. So it's one of those that it's not we lost to unranked Texas Tech led by Tommy Tuberville. You know, it's not like embarrassment like you would have in the past. They're just
Mhm.
normal losses that happen when you're playing football teams that are kind of on your level, if not better.
Yeah, and I think the whole, like, mantra saying, like, "Oh, we should have better standards than this." I think that that's just still delusional thinking. Oklahoma has been at a very, very fragile place this year. We are incredibly fragile, and no not a lot of Oklahoma fans wanna say it. It's scary to say out loud. We needed a season like this. It's not over. You still got 3 games to go. Still a lot can happen, but I think I'm very proud about what's happened thus far.
Absolutely. I think barring collapse, you should be pretty pumped about this team and the direction everything's heading. The recruiting I feel like has been pretty solid, Jameson.
Yeah, it's looked really good. And the 2027 continues to look better too. Like it's honestly, it makes you feel optimistic that we can keep this staff together and at least start to build on something, especially in this turmoil we have with the college football coaching carousel.
Yep, for sure. Like there's a lot of momentum without a doubt. Now I do want to say, like, let's explore the situation here. Let's say OU does go 9-3. Can they make the playoff?
Yeah, with a horrible loss to Missouri with wins against Alabama and LSU. No,
So if they lose to
I'm kidding.
Alabama, you think it's done, right?
Yeah, it's done. It's done. Just because you're gonna have to be a very, very attractive looking 9-3 to the committee. And I think whenever you go out there and you lose all three of your biggest games versus really high end opponents, we're not gonna have any quality wins. You know, Tennessee will be a
Tennessee.
quality win, but like that's not a playoff-esque team. I think if you're at 9-3, you've got to have a win versus a team that's also in the playoffs.
You need some chaos. You would need some chaos for sure. Um, it's not a good place to be in. I feel like you would need like here would be the most chaotic situation, honestly, Jameson. Let's say Michigan wins out, beats Ohio State. Let's say Michigan beats Ohio State in the game, weasels their way into the Big Ten tournament championship, and loses to Indiana. So you have a 10-3 Michigan against a 9-3 OU. How does that shake out?
So wait, hold up. You're saying in this scenario, Ohio State and Indiana get in?
Well, Ohio State's already in because you have
Yes.
Ohio State has one loss. They're in.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana, Big Ten champion, beats the hell out of Michigan. Michigan has 3 losses. You know, the 2 regular season ones, one to Oklahoma and one to USC, and then you lose in the conference championship, but to Indiana. I think
Is Oregon going to get in over us though? There,
Oregon's probably in. Like at that point, Oregon's
three.
in.
That's 3 Big Ten teams.
But if you're talking about a 4th Big Ten team in Michigan versus OU, like
okay, we got to do even some more math here. So that's 3 Big Ten teams.
Yes. So
and then you'll have your group of 5. So
yes.
let's just call it like South Florida or whatever. So that's 4.
South Florida gets in the playoff.
And then your ACC champion,
or like a Sun Belt. So James Madison. So Duke. Let's say Duke somehow wins the ACC.
Yeah, and so they make it automatic bid, Big 12 automatic bid. We're gonna have to hope that. I do you think that Oklahoma would beat a 1 loss like BYU or something?
BYU would have to play Texas Tech again. So it would have to be Texas Tech,
be
Big 12 champion, 2 loss BYU.
You're right. There's no way that they won't miss it because there's only.
They could lose to Cincinnati.
Yep, that's the scenario there. Yep, so that's clear. So you could still have 1 Big 12 team, 1 ACC team. So, and then it comes down to this. That's 2, 3, and we're at 7 now spots. And so that gives the SEC 4 or 5 spots. Is that what the scenario you're trying to play out loud right now?
Yeah, this would be like
this is so dense, Bobby. God.
I know. I'm sorry. I was just trying to lay out a scenario.
Okay, so then the 4 or 5 teams would be Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and then we would have to get in over a Texas.
Yeah, the Texas problem would be the big thing.
So Texas you're expecting Texas to lose to Georgia and Texas A&M.
Yes,
both of those would have to be losses
in this scenario.
Oh Texas my God, Bobby! This is I'm just gonna say, screw this conversation. That is way too complicated. Everything has to break right for us.
No, I know. That's the thing is I think everything would have to break right for your loss.
And to begin with, you're just talking about Michigan as a Big Ten champion.
No, they would not win the championship. They would just beat Ohio State and then lose in the championship.
Okay, so Michigan in the Big Ten championship. Let's just say that.
Michigan beating Ohio State is hilarious enough. And
I've
then you have to
honestly
add
forgot
in
about Michigan as a football team this year. Like,
it's yeah.
what have they been doing? Like, they barely beat Purdue last game. Like, they barely beat Purdue.
They've just been messing around. They've been doing nothing, man. I think this weekend they're playing Northwestern at Wrigley Field. Like
Oh my
they're
god,
just on side quest right now.
dude! They legitimately beat Purdue 21-16.
And that's what I'm trying to say is
And
I feel
I
like in
don't
that
know.
very specific situation, you would have to put in OU over Michigan.
Sweet,
This is a
send it, send it.
This is a really dumb situation that
I think, but this is good to have because someone actually tried to think about the logistics behind him saying, "What a 3-loss OU get in." And I was like, maybe they could, but like, let's actually like run through the scenario of how it could happen. I'm not feeling that optimistic.
now this isn't the only way it could happen. This is just the most interesting way it could happen. Is if Michigan somehow becomes a super quality win, where they're like, "Oh my gosh, Michigan beat Ohio State! Like, what do we do here?"
I don't
Because
know.
in reality, it would be easier for Michigan to just lose to Ohio State, and then you just don't even have to worry about that conundrum. But I don't know. There's a lot that needs to happen for
Yikes.
OU at 3 losses to get in, and yeah,
It'll feel kind of nasty with 3 losses this season. If we lose to Bama and then win versus Missouri and LSU, if we make it in the playoffs, I just feel like we didn't earn it.
I don't care. Get us in. I'm in.
I know. Obviously, I would take that. I'm not scared. I'm not a part of these people that are just searching for bowl wins, but not championship wins. I don't care. I'd rather lose 55-0 in the playoffs.
Yeah, and
But
let
it
us
would still
weasel in
feel,
and
it'd feel
play.
nasty. It'd feel
Let
really, really nasty getting there.
let us weasel our way in and play Texas Tech and Lubbock or something. Now,
That'd
wouldn't
be
that
so
be something?
weird. That would be
That would
so
be
freaking weird.
that would be the weirdest thing is college football playoff versus Texas Tech. Just it would just feel like a random we're randomly back in the Big 12.
Yeah.
But now Tech is good. So
Oh my gosh, that is so weird. Yeah, I
so
don't think that's gonna happen, Bobby. But if it does, we can go back to this podcast and reminisce.
yeah. If we actually do have this discussion, I'm going to look like a little bit of a Nostradamus about
Oh, talk
calling
about
the
Nostradamus. They can.
oh god,
We
Notre
forgot to think
Dame.
about them.
Come on, Pitt. We need Pitt. That if we
We
need Pitt
completely
to
forgot
save
about
us.
Notre Dame in this scenario.
Yeah,
And they've
no,
looked really damn good, Bobby. They've looked really good. Oh my
yeah.
god. Yeah, that honestly, there's a scenario in my head that a 3-loss Notre Dame gets in over us.
Oh no! Oh
I'm
god, that's
telling
awful.
you, Bobby, that does sound awful, but I could see it happening.
Oh, but here's the thing: that other loss wouldn't be good. They don't have anyone good left on their schedule.
A ranked Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh.
Oh, well, they're like, oh, well, they lost to ranked Pitt. Like, there you go. Like,
They got
just
Pitt, and then it's Syracuse, which is one of the biggest cupcakes in college football right now, and then Stanford.
oh,
So
disgusting.
yeah, I do love me some Pitt.
We need a miracle out of Pitt there. That'd be fun.
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
It might, man. You never know. Pitt, like, I'm just saying, at Pitt, that's where some weird stuff
Yeah,
happens. Like,
yeah. Texas A&M and Miami losses. Those are just really damn good losses.
Yeah. I feel like the thing is if College Game Day wasn't at Pitt, the chance of Notre Dame losing that one goes a lot higher. But now there's like a tension on Pitt, and that's the worst thing for Pitt is to actually be noticed. Pitt does its best work in the shadows.
Yeah, you're right. I think we can just throw away this conversation and be like, let's just talk about this later.
Yeah, no, we're just BS, and ultimately that discussion doesn't even really need to happen until OU takes that third loss, which hopefully does not happen, but it might. It might. And it might happen this weekend. So we'll see. But any final thoughts on OU Alabama before we wrap this thing up?
Nope. I'm excited to watch this football game. It's going to be great quality football. And honestly, I'm just going to kind of re-echo what I said earlier, Bobby. If you want to panic on this after this, be my guest. I ain't going to be.
Yep. No, I especially about the future of the program. I'm not there. looking forward to this one. Should be a good one. Actually, very last minute, I'm actually ending up going to this one. Decided on Sunday. Sorry about that, Lord King. I did message you back on that. So I will be taking the Tuscaloosa trip. It's going to be a lot, but I'm very excited about it. So
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Bastiat asked, is Simpson very mobile?
Oh, yeah. I just responded in the chat. I think he's like a 7 out of 10 mobile. Pretty mobile. Sneaky.
Yeah. Right. He can wiggle around. Like he can. He's not like the world's best. Like he's not Milrow or something, but he can move. Like he is not a statue by any means.
Yeah, I'm worried about his arm the most in this game.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So we'll see how that goes. But we'll be back on Wednesday to break down this game and several others on the weekend spread, making our picks. But until then, we'll see you next time. Boomer Sooner, everybody.